We're very, very excited to introduce our presenter, Katie Akulina. Katie is a communications and public relations expert with a wonderful background in community organizing and planning. So we are excited to have her. If you would like to learn more about her, you can check out her bio in the speaker bio box. And I'm also going to let her introduce herself. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And I'm going to hand it over to Katie. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Katie. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all good today. As Katie said, I am Katie Akulina. I'm the program coordinator for the Day One campaign, which is a project of the Tyler Clementi Foundation. I've been working in organizing and social justice work, which is really what this is, especially when it comes to working with people of labor. One of the things that I believe that we do, or that is important to do, is to talk about issues from a social justice standpoint and what we can do to make the world as best as possible for the people that are in it that we share the world with. And I think that that's something, of course, you all agree with because you are educators and you understand what this means and why that's so important and why it's important to care for others. And that's what we really want to advocate here. So thank you all so much for coming. So Tyler Clementi Foundation started this program a couple years ago. The organization started in 2010, and then we started this program soon after that to make sure that the bullying was prevented, the same thing that happened to Tyler. So I don't know if any of you have heard of Tyler's story. I saw a lot of people here, attendees from the New Jersey, New York area, so you may have heard of it, but here is a video clip to tell you what happened.
This was a sad day at Rutgers University in New Jersey.
Authorities have now identified the body of Tyler Clementi,
a quiet freshman at Rutgers University, a talented violinist, took his own life
after a sexual encounter with another man was secretly streamed online.
By all accounts, Tyler Clementi was a good-natured soul and mostly kept to himself.
Two witnesses saw Clementi jump off the towering George Washington Bridge.
The 18-year-old will join a disturbing growing trend of young students across the country who are cyberbullied to the point of collapse.
So that's Tyler's story. Unfortunately, Tyler died from suicide after he was, as the video said, his roommate and a couple of his roommate's friends were secretly videotaping him in a private situation with a fellow student at Rutgers. This is just 3 weeks into his freshman year of college when he was starting to find out more about himself and, the time that is supposed to be so exciting and such a great moment in somebody's life. Unfortunately, was really quickly turned into a horrible situation because of bullying and cyberbullying. When they did this video, they were in another room and live tweeting while they were watching the video. And all of that was just, too much to handle, understandably. And that's why Tyler died just 3 weeks into his freshman year. So the Tyler Clementi Foundation was founded to address bullying and prevent it and make sure that what happened to Tyler doesn't happen to anyone else. And we do that as an organization through several means. We have our Upstander Speaker Series where Tyler's mother or Tyler's brother, James, will come and speak to people about what happened and how they can make sure that it doesn't happen in their community. We also work in public policy, such as the Tyler Clementi Higher Education Act, which we have presented in 2 congressional sessions so far. Obviously, with our current climate, it hasn't gone as far as we'd like to, but that is why it's really important for us to make sure this happens. We also have Tyler's Suite, which is a choral group that presents Tyler's work and does a little fundraising for us. The Tyler Clementi Center at Rutgers addresses bullying and bullying issues in higher education. the Institute for Cyber Safety, which is a really great program where we have it's pro bono cyberbullying work from the Columbia Law School. So anybody at any time, if you have a cyberbullying issue, free of charge, you can contact the Clementi Institute for Cyber Safety, and they will support you. Workplace options training, which is where we go into workplaces and talk about bullying issues and how they affect families and people in work. And then day one, which is what we'll be talking about today, which is our bullying prevention program. And why, and that's just really important because the best way that we stop bullying is to make sure that it never happens in the first place. So what is bullying? That's a really important question. What bullying is repeated, unwarranted attacks against somebody, harassment, be it verbal, physical, social, or cyberbullying. And it can happen in all different sorts of ways, hitting, punching, kicking, stuff like, you're ugly, why do you wear clothes like that, why is your family so stupid because they think the way they do, I mean, whatever. And then social or isolation bullying, which is the mean girl stuff, that you can't sit with us. I was just actually working with another group this week, and I was talking about how I personally had to deal with that in 7th grade. I moved to a higher-end school district from where I was, and I had a girl tell me, in no uncertain terms, she handed me a list because she was, quote-unquote, helping me, of all the acceptable clothing brands in the school district. So that if I wanted to be cool, I had to wear Ralph Lauren and Eddie Bauer and all this other stuff that I don't really wear. But, yeah, so that's an example of social bullying that's definitely happened. So I'd love to see what grade levels you guys are in. So if you could take this poll, we'd love to hear about that. Okay, let's see where we're at. Okay, so pretty much across the board, but a lot of middle and high school, which is great. As I'm sure many of you know, bullying knows no age. The earliest signs of bullying can be found at a preschool level, and many people think that bullying somehow ends when you're 18 and as soon as you graduate. And I think a lot of us know that's not true, especially with the internet as it is today. So it's definitely an issue. And I want to say that day one and bully prevention, while I will be talking about it in a K through 12 sense here, it's something that, again, knows no age. So if this is something that you're dealing with, bullying with a coworker or any other type of setting, it can absolutely be used for that as well. I was just advising somebody yesterday about how to handle bullying from administration in her school. So it's definitely something that can be used across the board, regardless of who the bully is. So the definition of bullying, as I said, is defined as unwanted, harmful, verbal, physical, psychological, sexual, or social act committed by an individual or group, as well as any real or perceived threat or imbalance of power. So that basically what that means is if there's power or lack of control, it's much more likely that somebody will want to bully in terms of trying to get that control or try to have that power. And they can do that across the board in any type of way. as we talked about. So who is bullied? So according to the U.S. Department of Justice, bullying includes teasing, name-calling, intimidation, taunting, spreading rumors or lies, demands for money, online harassment, known as cyberbullying, sexual harassment, physical assault, theft, and destruction of property. And those harmed by bullying can be targeted on the basis of sex, gender, race, ethnicity, different way of speech, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, political views, physical appearance, and or disability. So it's definitely something that people can be targeted for many different reasons and many different ways. There's no particular reason why somebody just would never be bullied. They definitely could be. And we did have a question that I wanted to address about cyberbullying and how that works and how bullying works. All bullying is considered bullying if it is either repeated or has the propensity to be, if it seems like it could be repeated. So cyberbullying or any type of bullying, if it just happens once and it's a one-off and somebody was just like, oh, I think you look really stupid today, that's harassment. That's being a jerk. Is it bullying? Not necessarily. However, the reason why it would be bullying is if it's something that you can tell is a specific threat of imbalance of power. It's something that you can see is intentionally harmful and has the intention to be harmful repetitively. So if it's cyberbullying and it's something where somebody says, I heard that Katie has bugs in her hair, well, yes, that's a one-time thing, but it's something that was done, A, as an imbalance of power, and B, as something that would be potentially repeated in the future. So that is how that answer would work. So the different types of bullying, as we said, there is verbal bullying, which is teasing, name-calling, inappropriate comments, taunting, threatening to cause harm. Social bullying, which is relational bullying, leaving someone out on purpose, telling other children not to be friends with someone, spreading rumors, embarrassing someone in public, and then physical bullying, which hurt somebody's body or possessions, such as kicking, hitting, punching, spitting, tripping, pushing, taking someone's things and breaking them, making mean hand gestures, stealing something from somebody, those types of things. There's also definitely sexual harassment and sexual bullying can be included in this, but it's not considered a fourth type of bullying, or I guess fifth when you count with cyberbullying involved, because it could be in any of those things. It could be done in any type of those ways. So here are the real statistics about it. I'm sure you've heard and other people have said, and you may have even said yourself, okay, so bullying happens, but it doesn't happen in my community. That's not real. Boys will be boys, girls will be girls. But it does, and 64% of American adults know that bullying to be more prevalent among young people. 50% of adults have experienced or witnessed bullying in their workplace. Almost 16% of youth in grades 9 through 12 have experienced bullying, and 20% of students in grades 9 through 12 have reported being bullying. And then suicide counts for 20% of all deaths annually from 15 to 24-year-olds. And suicide, it's very important to note that suicide can be can happen, but it is not directly. Bullying does not lead to suicide, but it leads to conditions that can lead to suicide. that is a very important distinction. It's really important for people to understand. So I'd love to hear what type of bullying you have noticed or seen in your work or personally.
This is moderator Katie, so please answer your poll question now, just like we saw in the beginning. A pop-up has come in the middle of your screen. You have 34 seconds left to answer it, and if you aren't able to do it at this time, you'll need to come back an hour later after the webinar and answer it at that time. If you are having trouble, please refresh your screen. Give that a try. Thank you. Thank you. And remember, keep the conversation going in the group chat. Think about more questions you might have and things you want your peers to hear. Thanks.
Great, thank you. All right, so let's move ahead and see what everybody has to say about that. Okay, yeah, so verbal is definitely a really important issue, definitely. You hear it more than enough all the time. It's something that you really can pick up on. But verbal can also lead to relational and physical, and, you know, words can hurt. The whole idea of, you know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. They absolutely can, and they do. You know, there's only so many times that somebody can tell you you're ugly until you're going to start to feel ugly. And there's no reason why anybody should feel that, especially the students that are in our care and who look to us to really be supported when they are in school. So, you know, again, we were talking about the effects of bullying and what bullying can lead to. Excuse me. Children who are affected by bullying, who are either the bully or the bystander, they see increased depression and anxiety, physical health complaints, decreased academic achievement, higher likelihood of drug use, higher likelihood of missed school, higher incidence of aggressive behavior, gang violence. I mean, basically any negative trait that you can see that is a negative for, that we perceive as a negative for youth can directly come from bullying. And as you said, increased risk of suicide is an effect, but it is a sort of a tertiary effect. So if you have increased depression or anxiety, you could end up having an increased risk of suicide. And that increased depression and anxiety comes from bullying. There's been many studies that show overwhelmingly when they interview people in the criminal justice system that many of them say that they were bullied, and many of them, a majority of them, say that bullying is what kind of started them on that path one way or another. So it's definitely something to be aware of. And that's why we were trying to be proactive about bullying and make sure that nobody has to deal with those effects, because even one rough, week can change somebody's life immeasurably, and we really want to make sure that doesn't happen. So we know that bullying is an issue now, right? So, okay, but what are we going to do about it? What is there to do? Well, we have an approach, which is called Day One, and now we will learn about what it is through a short video.
I'm Megan Mullally. More than 3.2 million students are bullied each year, but that number doesn't even begin to account for the number of people who experience harassment outside of the classroom, like in the workplace, on a sports team, or online. Bullying, harassment, and humiliation leave painful physical and emotional scars, sometimes for life. They can lead to emotional distress, substance abuse, missing work and school, and suicide. We cannot wait another day to make a change. On day one, people in your community and across the United States should take matters into their own hands. The Day One campaign is an effective, simple, and free way to reduce bullying, harassment, and humiliation. It focuses schools, colleges, workplaces, athletic programs, and other environments on a targeted intervention during orientation. It requires a person in authority making a clear verbal statement about what behavior will and won't be tolerated, and getting confirmation from the audience that they understand. Day One leaders stand up and declare that cruelty, bullying, harassment, and humiliation are unacceptable. Simply register through our website, download the declaration, and bring it to your group. Campaign leaders will read the declaration to thousands of individuals across the country on their first day of school, work, practice, fraternity pledge program, or anywhere. Anyone who hears it then signs a pledge card committing themselves to being an upstander, someone who works to stop bullying by intervening or reporting the abuse. We'll gather stories from Day One campaign leaders and track how the program is helping participants. Responses can be recorded on the Day One video wall, a digital quilt of anti-bullying stories spanning the country and beyond. Join us by becoming an upstander and sharing your anti-bullying success stories with the hashtag Day1. Simple, effective, empowering. Day One, a project of the Tyler Clementi Foundation.
Yeah, so simple, effective, empowering. Those are the three tenets of what we really stand by and what we know that Day One can do. And we know that through studies from such bullying experts as Dorothy Espelage from the University of Florida and many others who say that having a proactive approach to cyberbullying or to all bullying and making sure that everybody is a part of making sure that that bullying doesn't happen is important. And making sure that everybody has the power to not only stand up for themselves, but to stand up for each other. And that's what Day One does, is it gives the power to not only yourself as educators and as leaders, but also to your students and community members to be able to say simply, what you're doing is disrespectful and I'd like it to stop. So what would the Day One look like to you? So what you'll do is you will download our free kit. You will print the pledge for students and declaration for leadership. Day One can be used either individually in a class. It can be used, or it can be used for a whole school. It really has, as long as there's 3 people in a group, you can use Day One. I really suggest that people not only use it in their classrooms, but if you are a coach, if you are an after-school program advisor, paraprofessional, bus driver. I mean, anything that you are doing where you're leading in a group, that is where Day One can be used. So what happens is then the person of authority reads the declaration to the group, class or school. And it's really important for a person of authority to read it because that way kids will understand it a lot better. And will know that you mean business about it. Also then the participants will read the pledge and then sign it. The signing is important because it makes sure that you have, while it's not legally binding, the psychological impact of signing your name to something really ends up making sure that people are taking it seriously and understanding what they do. So they'll read the pledge and sign it, and then, follow up your lessons throughout the year to re-engage the subject and remind students of their commitment. If there is an issue that happens a couple months down the road, you then have all of these pledges available to you. So if you found out that Tommy was bullying, Susan about something, then you can go, hey, Tommy, remember when you read this pledge? I'd like to talk to you about that because I feel like you're not following it, and we need to have that conversation. So they've already agreed that they're not going to be doing it, which means that not only will the bullies be able to know that it won't be tolerated, the people who are being bullied know that they get the support, and the people who are bystanders can then turn into upstanders. and be able to have the power to say, this is disrespectful, please stop. And day one is intended to be simple. You can adapt it to your class or school climate. As long as you don't change the words, we want to make sure that we don't leave anything out. This was put together with the help of experts to be the most effective way to have this conversation. So, but other than that, you can really adapt it to your class and school, as much or as little as you'd like. If you just want to do the pledge and declaration and be done with it, great. But there's also a lot of other opportunities that you could use that will be beneficial to your school, however you want to do it. People do it in all different types of ways. So let's break it down a little bit more. So why the first day? Well, on the first day of school, what do you talk about? You talk about bathroom passes, and you talk about homework assignments, and you talk about all these other protocols of what people's rights, responsibilities, and expectations are in their school. We should also talk about how we treat each other. So it's really important that we do this as soon as possible. Now, if it can't necessarily be on the first day, that's okay. First days, I know, can be really busy. If it can be day 2, day 3, a week after, a few weeks after, that's great. The most important thing is that it's out there as soon as you possibly can. So it's also important to have it early because students learn how to behave responsibly to faculty, staff, and the building on the first day. So, we really need to interact with them. And then it also builds the expectations into all the rest of the policies. Just as you're talking about all the rest of the policies, make sure that it's clear that how we treat each other is also one of the policies. It's backed by research like Dorothy Espelage and Irene Vanderzand about why the first day is important. And it's just really important to work on this type of stuff. So a person of leadership, the reason why that is because students need to know that it's not just lip service. They need to know that it's not just a rule in one class, but a rule for anyone they interact with. For example, I spoke with a high school teacher a couple of days ago, and they said that it really had impact for them because they're teaching by the hour. So as long as they have, their 6 hours of classes, of different classes, you're getting a large percentage of students who are hearing about day one, who are a part of day one, and they said to us that because of that, it ended up taking off like wildfire because then those students were using day one themselves in the hallway, around their peers, and other things so that everybody was starting to understand day one, and it ended up really creating a beautiful snowball of empathy, understanding, and empowerment. So how do we make it work? There's lots of different ways, like I said, and a lot of other really cool ways that we have done this before. So let's see how some other teachers have worked on this.
Hi, this is Mr. Zeki's 6th grade class, and on day one we took the Upstander Pledge.
At the Tyler Clementi Foundation, we have taken the approach that bullying is a public health issue, and we believe that there's something we can do not just to address bullying when it happens, but we can also prevent it.
We work on turning bystanders into upstanders.
In nearly every incident of domestic violence, sexual assault, bullying, there's a bystander. Someone who kind of knew what was going on and did nothing.
And we want those bystanders to speak up and stand up and speak out and become an upstander.
Day one leaders stand up and declare that cruelty, bullying, harassment, and humiliation are unacceptable. Anyone who hears it then signs a pledge card committing themselves to being an upstander.
I declared my classroom bully-free day one.
It was incredibly well received by the students.
Kids have been openly communicating about what they expect from each other and how they want to behave.
This pledge, to me, is just as important as their education.
You are setting a standard to your students that we are community, we are one, we are here for each other, not against each other.
I'm calling all students across the nation to take the Day One Pledge with me.
At Stevenson High School, we are committed to creating an environment that is not only about academic excellence, but also about relationships and creating community.
One that is safe for and respectful of all its members.
I will work to make others feel safe and included by treating them with respect and compassion.
I will encourage my parents, family members, and colleagues to do the same and will speak up when they use prejudice language about any group for any reason.
You know, life is really too short to be putting people down.
There are so many terrible things happening in the world right now, and if we could just get along without hurting each other, that's going to be a step in the right direction.
Dr. Dorothy Espelage, one of the top anti-bullying experts and published authors in the world, has said if every teacher in the country did the Day One intervention, I could retire.
Okay, yeah, so I hope you guys agree with me that that is a really exciting video. I always love seeing all the different ways that teachers are using it and that it's really having positive effect in schools. We did have a question that I want to address real quick. Substitute teachers can also absolutely use this. You can go in as soon as you start class that day, you can read off the Day One Pledge and or the Day One Declaration, and you can use that day or that week or that extended time, absolutely at any point. It has impact instantly, so it can definitely be used even if it's a one-day program with students, and we do see that quite a bit with camps and things like that. So, as I said, Day One has a pledge and declaration that can be very simply just printed off, and you can just read that and have everybody else read off the pledge and be done with it. But we love that you we love that, you know, you really want to make it your own. I love teachers' creativity and different ideas of how they can make it their own. So here are some ways that you can. So what would you do scenarios? Like, so you saw Haley on the playground and she was being yelled at by Becky because Becky thought that she looked terrible that day. What would you do? And Haley was crying. What would you do in that situation? That type of stuff. Videos or plays, which are really great for high school. I would say maybe even if you're doing something with high school for a audio-visual class, maybe have this as a PSA assignment. I know that was always really great when we did them in school. A really cool thing we have is People Think I Am, But I Really Am, which is, you'll see the face in the screen you see. So it says, people say I am a loser, but I really am, and in the face they draw what they are, what they see themselves are. I am the best, I am a hero, I am great at games, I'm a good brother, I'm a listener, and then they share those so that it helps each other understand who they are and what they are and what they're bringing to the table. Because I think a lot of us think, you know, you just see what's at face value, but you really don't know what somebody is coming with and what they've been through to become where they are. I recently was talking to somebody about Challenge Day and how a lot of what we do really aligns quite a bit with the ideas of Challenge Day and challenging your preconceived notions and challenging who you are. So, you know, that's an idea. A crumpled paper exercise, you take a blank sheet of paper and you pass it around and you have people say something bad to it, and you crumple up the piece of paper, and everybody goes around and crumples up the piece of paper. And then you take it back and you smooth it out, and the paper is destroyed, right? It's all wrinkled and crumpled. And the idea of that is that you can never really take back what you do or say. which is really important. Other idea, upstander of the month or week. If you see people really standing out, you see somebody give a kind word or a kind gesture, definitely support that. By giving them an upstander of the month or week. Create a special desk for them for the week if you're in a lower level classroom, or have give them a special lunch or something like that just shows that you see that they're trying to do great. Have students speak with their parents about a bullying situation that they've faced. It's really important that we're not ashamed of the fact that we have been bullied or we have bullied. It doesn't mean that you can't make amends, but it's important that we talk about it and we're not ashamed of it, because it is normal. It's not okay, but it is normal, and we need to talk about that being normal so that people can feel that they're not alone. Display information in classrooms or hallways. Have a big printout available. We can help you with that possibly. Have that on the wall so that everybody can see it. Make sure that it's on your door when you come in. Make sure that they know that you are a safe person that they can turn to. And talk about issues of safety. Talk about it being, not safe, because it really is a public health issue. It's very important. Art projects as an individual or a group. Translating for language learners. We have Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, Albanian translations available. So, maybe use that for a translation. We have a Spanish teacher that is having their kids translate day one. So, there's a lot of different opportunities that you can have. We really celebrate that, especially young kids. Maybe do pictures or have them trace their hand and then put that up around the pledge. A lot of different opportunities to be able to really show how to stand up and stand out. So here's another poll question for you guys. All right, so let's see what the results were. Right, sure, yeah. So, what do you see as your biggest challenge to bullying prevention or correction? Pretty much across the board, we see this a lot. Unclear, inappropriate school policies. This is a way to start off and make sure that at least your policies in your classroom, or what you can control, are clear. I recently heard, as of yesterday, I heard about a school being sued because a child died from suicide after being bullied. So this is really a risk management issue, and it's something that you can talk with the school leadership as well, so that if they're unresponsive, one thing that they'll listen to is not wanting to get sued. So that's definitely an approach you can take. And even if the school policies aren't ideal, and even if your school leadership isn't responsive, you do have the support of AFT in your school that they can help you out. And then you also have, you're using day one. You can show them that it's working. If nobody else will do it in your school, you can show them that it will work. And you can show that this is how this works here. And resistance from students, I completely understand that's also an issue. This is how we stop that resistance from students. We make sure that everybody is aware of those policies from the first day. What that's going to do is it's going to make sure that the kids who are bullying know that this is not how we do things here, and they will be a little more aware of what they do. If not, they'll have the bystanders turning into upstanders, so that they will be your eyes and ears. Understandably, a lot of this bullying doesn't happen when you're around. It happens on the playground. It happens in the hallway. It happens after school. It happens on the bus. It happens all these different places. But if you are empowering and you're giving the empowerment of saying, it is very simple to say, this is disrespectful, please stop. If you can give them that power, they'll use it. Studies show that they will absolutely use that power when it is given to them. And they know that when the situation happens and they need to come and talk to somebody about it, they know that you will be there for them. And the person that is bullied knows that you care and you can come to them. One thing that I would definitely suggest that everybody on the call does is create there's a lot of different ones out there, or create a little note on their door to make sure that everybody knows who you are and that you support. So let me just move through this real quick so that we can get into questions. Make sure that parents are included. Have conversations with parents at the beginning of school, maybe at parents' night. Make sure that they know how this is happening. And then just continue the lesson. So make sure that, you're dealing with behavioral correction. Make sure that, you're understanding. Zero tolerance does not work. If anybody's using zero tolerance, studies show it does not work. So definitely work on that. Don't mandate an apology, but try to help them make amends. Talk about how you can make amends to make it better. That's not just an apology, because that can be not heartfelt at all, but really tries to talk about how to build community together. And refer to the pledge when you're dealing with that. And then make sure that you're referencing it as much as possible. Have a refresher maybe before or after breaks, like school breaks, before the end of school year. Talk about it in terms of cyberbullying. And make sure that you're including faculty and staff. Make sure they see everything that's happening. And make sure you let us know that you're doing really great stuff. Make sure that you are really supporting it. We would love to see what you're doing. We would love to see the great ideas and the impact that it's having. So send us your videos, send us your pictures, send us what the kids are doing, send us, information about why maybe it's not working. We talked with Utica Community Schools last year, and they saw that we didn't have we needed a little help with our early elementary program, and we created a whole new early elementary program. So we can definitely adapt and learn, and we want to adapt and learn from you. So definitely let us know how it's working for you and how you can really get ahead and be supportive of it. So with that, let's move on to questions.
Hi, so I wanted to thank everyone. What a wonderful, especially Katie, thank you for the great presentation. We've already got some wonderful questions coming in. I'm going to read those. Katie will answer them. I wanted to just mention to folks right now, though, your certification box on your screen. At this time, it's a good idea to download your professional development certification. Remember, you'll be able to do it for up to a year. If you have full questions you have to get to, just know you'll get a link within the hour, and then you can go back in and do it. No need to contact us. So our first question comes from Donna. Great question. How do you handle parents who claim their child is being bullied when it is actually their child that is the bully and others are reacting to it? Hi, Katie. We can't hear you. Are you with us?
Hi. Yes. Okay. Sorry about that. So that is a really great question. And there's definitely issues that happen across the board. Parents can definitely be part of the issue. One of the things that I would do is actively involve the parents in what's happening, as much as you can with privacy constraints that you may have. Make sure that they know what's happening. Make sure that they are actively aware of what's happening. Have a conversation. Maybe when you have a meeting with them about behavioral issues, bring in the Day One Pledge. Have them read the Day One Pledge. Bring in the pledge that their child has signed and say, listen, this is all that's happened. And the reactions that people are having to them may also be a form of, I understand that it's retaliation, but an eye for an eye makes the world blind. So that is definitely something that needs to be addressed. And the best way to address that is to make sure that everybody is having a conversation about what is positive and how we can support each other, and how instead of retaliating by saying, by hitting back or doing something like that, the support is as simple as saying, this is disrespectful, please stop. Give those other students the tools so that they are not frustrated and resorting to also bullying and retaliation. So it's a really important issue.
Outstanding. Katie, we've got time for one more kind of flurry of questions, and then we'll have to cut it off. But the first question is, where do you find the pledge? Someone also asked, where do you download the toolkit? And someone also said, you mentioned early education. Do you have preschool resources? So this might be a moment to help folks figure out where on your site or where that they can get those things.
Yes, absolutely. Great question. So all of our materials are available at tylerclementi.org/day1. We do have resources available from K through 12, as well as high school, as well as college, workplace, and general. We currently are developing our preschool curriculum. I used to teach preschool and Gymboree, so it's a really important thing that I'm working on. But I would suggest maybe using our K through 3 language and then adapting it for little ones. And then when it comes to signing the pledge, maybe instead of signing the pledge, maybe have them trace hands or do an art project that talks about bullying, and really support it through that way. There are also a lot of book resources that you can use, such as Juicebox. Bully is a great one. The Day the Colors Quit, I think, is another one. There's some really great resources. We are supportive of Human Rights Campaign and their Welcoming Schools initiative, and they have a really great list of resources for younger kids to be able to use as well. So I would definitely suggest you go to that for resources.
Excellent. Okay, I am so sorry to have to end this now. I see good questions still coming in, like, is it available for people outside the U.S.? Katie will get all of your questions, so I promise you'll be able to, she will have your information, and please do get in touch so you're able to get all your questions answered. Tyler Clementi has a wonderful, wonderful collection of resources for teachers, and so I want to just remind folks again to download your certification. It's in the certification box after answering full questions. Again, if for some reason you're unable to at this time, please wait the hour. Then you'll be able to link back in and complete anything you needed as far as poll questions and watching. So I'm going to say thank you to everyone who has joined us. Thank you to Katie, and we look forward to being in touch with all of you to come back for more webinars soon. Katie, would you like the last word?
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to thank everybody for being a part of this, answer that quick question. This can be used outside of the United States, so you can definitely download it. It's used internationally. We have people in Australia using it. And I just want to thank everybody again for everything that you've done and being a part of this. And definitely please contact me if you have any questions or need more information about how you can implement it in your school.
Thank you so much, and we will be signing off. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.